You are listening to Vets Nation Talks, the show that highlights veteran-owned businesses, the people, and their mission. Thousands of successful businesses are owned and operated by seasoned veterans, and their stories are inspiring. Join Carl Woofenden as he has conversations with our heroes, talking about their mission out of uniform. Veterans supporting veterans on Vets Nation Talks. The guests and topics on this show are not always affiliated with Vets Nation's Talks, and any comments are the opinions of the individuals, and we strongly advise, before making any decisions, to research the options available. Vets Nation Talks, the voice of Vets4Vets Nation.com with Carl Woofenden.
Good morning, and welcome to Vets4Vets Nation Talks. And as we've been doing over the past, few weeks, we've been having some great conversations with veterans. We've had the Marines, we've had the Army, and we've had the Air Force on. And so over the past I'm waiting for a Space Force person to come on, because I think I'm looking for that, but maybe that's in a few years' time that'll happen. I don't know, but as we sort of have been doing on our Vets4VetsNation.com community, where we've really launched this to bring our veteran friends to support veterans, from a business standpoint and from a one-on-one basis, etc. We've been running stories, and some great stories. And of course, last week we were running a story to really commemorate the September 11 event, disaster, tragedy, horrific thing that happened. And it's 20 years. I can't believe it was 20 years. But anyway, how it was. And we ran this story, and we also aired a video called Never Forgotten by Ryan Weaver. And, I said to my team, I've got to have Ryan on the show, because, I was reading the background story about, not just the video, because the video isn't just the music. It also has a documentary piece in there about what was happening on the ground, etc. And then it weaved into that music, and that was such a powerful message. So anyway, enough about me waffling about it. Let's bring Ryan on. Ryan, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me this morning.
I truly appreciate you bringing me on. It's always an honor to get to tell my brother's stories and talk about the honor and sacrifice of our heroes across the nation. As a country music artist now, but with 21 years on active duty prior to this, I'm never going to stop doing it as long as I have a voice.
Absolutely. No. I applaud you, and I appreciate and thank you for your service, as I always say to my fellow brothers in arms.
Likewise.
You were a U.S. Army combat veteran, of course. You're an Army here. That's right. Mm-hmm. You're a two-time Gold Star family member, and also a country artist, as we just said, and you just said. I know that the veteran community understands what a two-star Gold Star sort of member family is. Explain to my listeners who are not familiar with what that means, if you don't mind.
Well, so my brother Steve and Aaron and I were all three aviators. They flew Kiowa Warriors in the Army, and I flew Black Hawks. My brother-in-law, Randy Billings, was a Black Hawk Aviator as well. So all four of us didn't fly at the same time, because I was no longer flying when Randy married into the family, but Aaron and Steve and I flew at the same time. And Aaron and I were deployed to Iraq together in 2003, and on January 8th in 2004. Let me digress a little bit. Aaron survived the ambush in Mogadishu that Black Hawk Down was made after. He was one of the Rangers on the ground. He was a cancer survivor and was non-deployable. He got a waiver to be deployed, but he had to get bi-monthly blood screenings done for his cancer to make sure that it didn't come back. And he had to, when on one of those bi-monthly blood screenings, he was in the back of a medevac helicopter on January 8th in 2004 when it was shot down and killed everyone on board. I was deployed at the same time with the 1st Armored Division out of Baghdad International Airport, and came home to his funeral. And that's when we became the first-time Gold Star family. And then in 2013, on December 17th, my brother-in-law, Randy Billings, was piloting a Black Hawk in Afghanistan. doing a reconnaissance mission when an IED blew off the tail boom of the aircraft. And although a passenger was ejected in the back, the rest of the crew rolled down 500 feet of a mountain, and nobody survived that crash, which made us a 2-time Gold Star family.
My goodness, I can't even imagine. And again, you hear these stories, etc. And it is a thing that we know that, as I say, I was British Army. You go into a situation and that, there's a consequence potentially of not coming back. But it's always heartbreaking to have to, listen to that. How did you say you were 20 years or 21 years in active service?
Almost 21, 20 years, 8 months and 7 days. I'd be able to tell you the hours if I could remember when I raised my hand.
Well, I tell you, you don't look like you had 21 years in active service. So you're looking good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it's a filter. It's one of those filters.
I have the soft filter on my. I don't know if they
that's
allow
what
that
it
on.
is. So
you
I'll have to. You have to tell.
Like.
Oh, there you go. I saw it move. Then, yeah.
Not really.
No, so in that time. So you're a country artist now, country music artist. Mm-hmm. How did that affect? You being in active service, going through those situations, emotional situations, etc. How did that affect your music? Were you in music before, or how did that work?
Well, in flight school, when I was going through flight school, I actually started singing karaoke and singing competitions because I was broke and trying to pay my bills, and I was winning, which it was something I found out late in my life that I really enjoyed doing. I loved it. And I was winning. And when I was restationed to Germany, there weren't any competitions, but there were karaoke, singing nights at the officers club, that kind of stuff. So I would go to those and just have fun. And when I got into Iraq, I started writing. That's when I wrote a couple of songs in Iraq. They weren't very good, but I just got started into the songwriting side of it. And then when Aaron died, I followed in my brother Steve and Aaron's footsteps my entire career. I mean, they went into the Ranger Regiment and got out and went to school, then went back to be warrant officers. And I went military intelligence first in transition. But their standards of performance and everything that they did and how amazing they were as soldiers were my level. If I achieved those standards on promotion, different things like that in the military, it was always a great accomplishment for me. So when my brother Aaron called me to go to flight school, I was stuck at an Army recruiting station at 7:00 at night on a Sunday after having worked the whole week. And he said, "Hey, they changed the vision standards for flight school. You got to think about putting your packet in." So I did. And that brought me to flight school, which brings me back to the beginning of the story about music when I started singing. So, I decided that when Aaron died that I was going to start chasing there were no longer footsteps for me to follow in. So I needed to make my own path and do something that I truly loved. And I wanted to chase my dream in his honor. And then when Randy died, of course, that increased my motivation, having them in my corner to be as successful as possible, because we have an amazing country to chase our dreams in. And the moment that I made a decision to do it in their honor, 1,000,000 pounds of weight got lifted off my shoulders. But when it comes to writing the songs, I tried to write genuine lyrics. I didn't grow up on a backwood dirt road pickup truck next to a bonfire with the fireflies, a girlfriend with cut off jeans and flip flops, drinking a Coors Light on a riverbank fishing, which is pretty much I did go to Friday night football games. But
there you go.
Yeah, I did. But all that aside, so I write about my experiences and the kind of stuff that I love. And, Never Forgotten was written in Aaron's honor, but also in honor of a law enforcement, NYPD, New York Fire Department, fallen from 9/11, a border patrol agent that was killed on a drug bust, and the Dallas police officers that were killed in downtown Dallas from that attack in downtown Dallas. And we were able to tour across the nation doing that. I wrote that song, a lot of that song with Aaron in mind, of course. But as far as the military is concerned, I would say that the motivation and discipline and drive to be successful and keep focused on what I'm there for really helped in the club scene, let's just say, because you're in the club scene and there's a lot of debauchery that could happen. And I tried to stay away from that as much as possible because I wanted to be in arenas with people singing my songs, not playing in the clubs for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's obvious when I have guests on like yourself is that that discipline and that focus is instilled in the military. It really is. And then you can transfer that, and people on the civilian side, in the private public sector as such, they need to embrace that and say, look, these folks out there, because again, business class news is where this is being aired on, but our show is called Vets4Vets Nation Talks. But we talk about all the time on business class news about, how people need to be focused and disciplined, etc., in the business world. And music is the same thing. You're right. There are so many distractions. I in my early days, believe it or not, I used to run clubs, club events, etc., over in London and Manchester. And literally, you can get distracted. So you've got to have that focus. So I applaud you for that as such. One of the things I think I just want to say as well, yes, the video that I watched, it has all of those elements that you talk about there, it rolled into it as such. So that was your first sort of real inspirational piece as such. What have you been doing, recently? I see the photographs, and are they the 13 fallen behind you, or so tell me about your background and your T-shirt.
So the shirt is the 13 fallen from Afghanistan. It's with a company called Grit Gear Apparel. Everybody can go to gritgearapparel.com. Search their new shirts. Search their new shirts. That was a tongue twister.
Yep.
On their main page. And 100% of the proceeds are going to the families of the fallen. The pictures behind me are essentially my life. There's so many different photos in here, from me touching my brother's headstone, to my wedding, to one of my concerts, to Aaron and I in Iraq, Randy in Afghanistan, me with Charlie Daniels when I did a show with Charlie Daniels. There's so many different things about my life. Someone was gracious enough to make it for me. I'm super proud because everyone gets to ask me about it. I usually I have my dog honor tags on with me. I actually, because I wanted to get the comm check done right, and we ended up chatting, I didn't get to put them on, but these are my honor
put
tags.
them on now. There you go.
I always have them on to honor my brothers, and they're a conversation piece, and this amazing quilt behind me has become a conversation piece as well. So it's all about telling the stories. It's all about remembering them and making sure that they're honored in the way that they should be honored. And that's how I choose to live my life.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody's life is a story. I mean, and the story can go in different ways and different chapters, etc. And I think it's important to say as well, you as an individual, and I'm not just saying you, but anybody out there, they can choose the direction that they go. And there are certain things that impact people's lives, and they can either take that on as a positive experience, even though it was emotionally distressful at the time, what you do with it after that story. And obviously you're now telling these stories. I mean, I know that you're very, very vocal about, what, needs to be done as such. And, what are you? I mean, I don't mind you talking about the situation and what you feel about, where we are today. Let's talk about it.
Where do we want to start? Because I know we're limited on time, but if you want to talk about Afghanistan, we could talk about Afghanistan. I mean, if we want to talk about the business side of things, we could talk. I was going to say, when you were talking about the business side, not to get off on a tangent, but the showing up on time is an underrated character trait in a lot of businesses, and the music business is one of them. It's an underrated character trait. And we were talking about showing up early for, to get the sound checks and all that stuff done. But the discipline and the drive and the entrepreneurial spirit of the veteran that's out there, we're used to overcoming obstacles and having to deal with things and figure out how to deal with those obstacles. And I prefer to call those roadblocks, turning them into speed bumps. And the discipline from the military and our experiences in the military, those are intangibles that employers really need to think about when it comes to hiring our veterans. A lot of folks understand that, but when you're thinking about less than 1% of the entire United States serving our country ever, it really becomes something that we need to get that message out to the civilian sector and all the other companies out there that can not just look at the education piece, because you've got some folks that they've been deployed 8, 9, 10 times in the last 20 years to Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're on patrols every single day dealing with life and death situations, and haven't had the time to necessarily get their bachelor's degree because they've been serving our country for so long. There's so many intangibles that can come from that experience, and I think it's invaluable that employers look out for veterans, seek out veterans for employment and for the entrepreneurial spirit. I partner with so many different companies. I have my own cowboy boot line that's on the shelves of Boot Barn. Those companies have reached out to me because they see that I never stop. I'm always going, and nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to silence me. Nobody's going to stop me. But yeah, I mean, that's one side that I really wanted to target, because I know there are a lot of veterans out there that believe exactly the same way and are having trouble. The military police officers, they're like, oh, I can't do anything but get into a police job. That's not true. There's so many other jobs that are out there, and the resume that you have is invaluable to a lot of employers because they see innate leadership that comes from those experiences. And I'm hoping that, with this podcast, we can get that message out there to other folks as well.
Well, let's home in on what you just said there, because what we're finding, I see. I'm the editor, publisher of this show and this website that we have as such, and I get hundreds of emails and stories, etc. And one of the biggest stories that we're seeing at the moment is there's so many jobs out there, but not many people to fill them, and it gives me heartache to read those stories and say, come on. We have a talented workforce out here. We have our vets, that are willing to work because that's what they're used to. They want to work, they want to put their effort in, etc. And so, as you say, the resume from a veteran, a previously active service person, it is invaluable, and we do want to get that story out. And I appreciate you bringing that up. So yes, you're right. Unfortunately, we only do have so much time as such. What I'd like to do is ask you, you're music artists. Have you what's coming out? What's your next adventure and your next sort of track that you've got coming out, if you have anything? Yep.
Well, first and foremost, everybody can follow every single thing that I'm doing at ryanweaver.net. We announce all of our stuff. My new single is on there. Right now, we have a single that we just released called No Second Chance. We did re-release Never Forgotten, but No Second Chance is my song. Never Forgotten, the PBR, Professional Bull Rider Zones, but No Second Chance just came out. We're going to soon be releasing the music video to that. And in the next month, we're also right before Veterans Day, the weekend before Veterans Day, we're going to be releasing a brand new music video on top of that called Let's Talk About Heroes. And the song will be on pre-sale shortly. But if you want to find out where to get it on pre-sale, when it's going to be coming out, ryanweaver.net is the best place to go to keep up with me. If anybody's on Instagram, it's Ryan Weaver Country. But all of my social media pages, Facebook, the same, are all on my website at ryanweaver.net.
Fantastic. Well, I tell you, I really appreciate you spending the time, because I know you've been real busy. You've been doing a lot of talking over the past few days as such, and I'm really glad that we touched on that business aspect, etc. I'm going to put all the details on Business Class News and Vets4VetsNation.com. Let's talk about. I'll put that link to your website on there, and I want you back on the show, especially around Veterans Day, because we're going to be doing some special things on Vets4Vets Nation. So I'd love you to be part of that as well. So
that would be amazing, especially with we'll send this video over for you for a preview. And when you watch this video, it's going to blow your mind and touch your heart. It's an absolutely incredible video. The people that we have in this video, from a Medal of Honor recipient, Don Jenkins, who was depicted, his actions in Vietnam were depicted in Forrest Gump's character, to Jessica Lynch, the first ever female in the history of American combat to be a POW, Both of them are in that. Diana Muller, who's a Second Amendment supporter, professional shooter and former law enforcement officer. We've got a powerhouse cast, but the song and the video and the way that we're able to connect the communities together, it's exactly how we're connected in real life.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you for your service. Thank you for all the things you're doing and getting the word out there. And I'm excited about this conversation and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Truly appreciate it.
Of course, that was Ryan Weaver, of course, country music artist, and we will be showcasing that website for him, so you can go and check that out and follow Ryan, etc. And of course, he's a combat army veteran, so I salute him, and I'm so glad that we had that conversation. So, as we always say, go out there, have some fun, and but be safe. That's the main thing. Be safe and have some fun, and be respectful for others. So appreciate everybody's time and watching this and listening to us. And all the information about this podcast is going to be in our website. So just follow that. So thanks a lot, and see you next time. Goodbye.
When I came out from the sub-basements with my partner, Richie Hardigan, and my team for a break, we saw the sphere. And then when I was told by a firefighter that was an antenna off the North Tower, I just knew then we had to get a flag up at a high point inside the frozen zone. And I went up and down Broadway, and there were other flags up on buildings, and I didn't want to take a flag down. It was already up. And they had apparently been left up throughout the day and night of 9/11. These guys were former military, and it was important for them to see a flag. And he looked at me and said, "Where are you going to get a flag from?" And I said, "Well, Chief, if you're okay with it, I'm going to borrow the flag from Stuyvesant High School." And he looked at me and said, "Go get that flag." I said, "I'm going to carry this flag out with honor." And I walked in between building 4 and 5, what was left of them, towards the sphere. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, "Chief, if you get me 2 firemen with a ladder, I'm going to put a flag up for our guys there." Because I not only lost friends of mine who were NYPD, but I also knew a lot of guys from the fire department who were on a FEMA team with me. So I knew a lot of other new firefighters as well that were missing. So I knew how important it would be for them. And as I went up the ladder, I'm looking at it as I got up close to the top, well, to the mast area. I didn't. Now, where am I going to put it when I get up there? And so as I'm reaching out to put it through a hollow pipe, the flag started to unfurl itself, and I heard the fire battalion chief yell out, "Present arms!"
Present arms!
It was a heavy hit on this country, and it was a heavy hit with us. We were New York City. With that, we can't forget those we lost.
Standing alone, I imagine your face, smiling when you said goodbye yesterday. You were my hero, my heart, and my everything. I hold on to hurt so you won't fade away. Never forgotten, oh no, you're not gonna disappear. Although you're gone, oh, I promise I'll keep you near. You might be one of the fallen, but never forgotten. forgotten. They don't remember, but we let them know. Each time we read all their stories in stone. This was someone's daddy, their mama, their everything. In a field of reminders, they're not coming home. Never forgotten, oh no, they're not gonna disappear. Although they're gone, oh, we promise we'll keep them near. They might be one of the fallen, but never forgotten. Never forgotten, reminded of you in your daughter's eyes. And sometimes she smiles when she falls, almost never cries. Never forgot.